Welcome to DisruptEDtv, where every little idea can make a big difference in your classroom or in your school. And our guest today, Joe, is Glenn Robbins, who is the Superintendent of the Tabernacle Township School District. Tabernacle is in Burlington County, New Jersey. Glenn, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
And Glenn's disruptive idea is a concept that you may have heard of, design thinking, which is part of the culture now of the Tabernacle Township School District. So, Glenn, maybe you can start in our program here by explaining design thinking and what that means.
Okay, so to me, design thinking, we basically modeled it off of IDEO, which is a company out in California, as well as the Stanford D School. Mm-hmm. And, you know, in schools, you can always work on a project. You know, go home and work on your project, bring it into school.
Right.
But what does that project actually do for anybody? Does it actually make a difference in the world for anybody? So with design thinking, it puts it in more of a human-centered, empathetic approach. Mm-hmm. So, you know, what we're working on now is we have a K through 8 as preschool as well, where students are trying to question one another, question outsiders, question, you know, look at the lives of what's going on with someone and how they could improve the life of somebody else. Mm-hmm. So think about that project. You know, you had wood shop back in the day. You made a grandfather clock. That's great. What did it do for anybody? Did it help anybody in any particular way? So we're trying to look at it from the aspect of given these tools, and the biggest tool that we have is the creative mind of those children and our teachers, and allowing them to flourish by working collaboratively, which works on the soft skills that they need, having those conversations to understand the emotional intelligence of someone during that conversation, and trying to get deeper down inside on how they could make that person's life better, or animal's life better, or a program, or something overall structure that could affect the lives of many. We tell the kids all the time, you know, you want to be a billionaire, come up with something that will improve the lives of 1 billion people. Mm-hmm. So with design thinking, they are constantly questioning one another on how they can improve things. Quick little synopsis of what's coming up to be. Our 7th grade will be doing 3D prosthetic hands for children with deformities. You know, so,
7th grade?
Yeah, 7th grade.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so instead of using a 3D printer to print out something of a simple little tinket of some sort, now you're going to be questioning and having conversations with kids around the world or the United States that don't have the opportunities for prosthetics, and you're going to work on those hands to build them into those children's hands alone.
Glenn, I think, first of all, you made the point that your school district, the Tabernacle Township School District, is K through 8. So design thinking isn't something that it takes, isn't for adults or even, and that's not for college students or even high school students. You can actually use design thinking concepts in children as young as preschool, which I think is key. Yep. And you're making the point that the application of the project is just as important as the project itself. What kind of a difference does this make? When you institute this design thinking approach in the school, what kind of a difference do you get in the students?
Well, I think it allows the outliers and the originals to come to the center. You know, we hear about the box. We really don't look at a box, you know, in our field of education where we are. We look about how those outliers and originals can come to the center and make a true disruption to education. Some of our most advanced kids are not truly in our gifted program. You know, think about that. These are kids that have always been bored with school. So we start questioning these kids and we start changing the mindsets of the vocabulary with the staff as well. How might we, what if, and yes and. So we removed all the CYBOs, which is a chief BYOD officer, and we go forward with, hey, how can we move forward with this project? And there's never anyone saying no, it's yes and you're sitting around that table having those conversations. And you're teaching these preschool up through 8th grade and continuing to flourish throughout the career path that they choose to go with a different kind of mindset that anything's possible. And the ultimate goal as they go through is that we do not push down on their creativity as they get through middle school and high school, which is a normal thing in schools. You know, you have the most curious minds of a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old. They ask why over 100 times a day, and we start to squash that out of the way. You know, so why can't they ask that why question?
You want to use that.
You want to use that to their advantage. And then, you know, you tie into that design thinking piece and you start rolling it and see where the kids can go with it. They come up with ideas that you would never think of. Staff, for once, is finally empowered to step up and not be afraid to make a mistake because that's part of the process. You know, you only learn from getting, you know, bloody knees and finding out the wrong way. So we don't call it failure, we just call it iteration. So iteration 1, iteration 2, and we keep going until we get a product that can advance the life of somebody else.
So the staff can take risks.
Oh, staff have open risks. The staff have been told by me, if you're sitting up there and just reading off a PowerPoint and making kids memorize, you're probably going to be written up. But if you're standing in there and it's loud, it's chaotic, but at the same time the kids are fully engaged and it's something that they're passionate about, I'll support you in every way, no matter how bad that lesson may be, because you're trying to take that risk to move forward. There are staff we have that are new, that are rookies, and we have staff that are veterans. And we try to implore on those veterans to utilize the skills that they've gathered over the years, but come in thinking like a rookie. Come in thinking about that, like you can change the world, or you can change the, you create these rhapsodic moments for these kids that'll always remember that, that moment of awe. We think about, wow, I did this in 5th grade, or I did that in 4th grade, or I did this in 8th grade, I did it in 12. No one thinks about the worksheet that they did in 7th grade. When the kids start doing 3D prosthetic hands, they're going to remember that. We have other groups that are working with the Philadelphia Zoo for saving the Panamanian frogs. The kids are very involved into that now, so we're working back and forth to the zoo, and that's exploded into all the different grade levels across our school. And that's also water conservation. Our school is in the heart of the Pine Barrens. So water conservation, as well as, what can we do to better any lives or anything in the Pine Barrens as well, is something that our kids take to heart, because that's where they live.
This is real life experiences.
True life
They're
experience.
terrific. Now, how are the teachers accepting this? I mean, I guess you have success stories both among young teachers and also older teachers. Is that right?
Yep.
I mean, so you don't have to be a young teacher to get this idea.
Correct. No, you just have to be a person that has an open mind to say, my boss is telling me it's okay to take a risk. My boss is telling me that we want you to take multiple risks to see what you can do differently.
Okay.
And how can you improve the life of somebody else? And we basically go to them and say, hey, look, the current kindergartner right now may never drive a car. So what are you doing to change that as we continue to move forward? What are you doing to prepare that child as they move forward with Alexa and Siri in a classroom? So we're pushing them to think a lot differently, but encouraging that same mentality and the same vocabulary. We've even changed our mission statement. Our mission statement used to be as long as war and peace. No one could ever recite a mission statement. I'm sure if you go to the majority of schools and ask them to recite a mission statement, they can't do it.
They don't know what it is.
So we changed ours very simple off of a collaboration with the students, the staff, and the community. We are now empathetic, innovative, game changers. We think, we feel, we do. And that is our mission every single day for those kids. So everything for the staff, they buy into that. So when we have field days now, we have game changer days.
Good.
When we're doing all kinds of lessons, you're empathetic and innovative. So everything is involved with that. And the biggest thing is working with the teachers and working as a team and as a family. I love my teachers. I love my staff that I have that works with me and my administrative team. And that's my family. So we work with our family through the good times and the bad times to make their lives better. Once I do that, and once my administration team does that, the kids' lives become better. And that continues to focus out to the community.
That's terrific, Glenn. We need to take a break. When we come back, though, I want to talk a little bit more about integration of this curriculum idea in the community, because you mentioned that. And maybe we can talk a little bit about how that works.
Okay.
And we'll be right back after this break on DisruptEDtv.
Stick around.
Great. That was great.
Planning a large-scale event or conference? Consider Brookdale Community College and its versatile Collins Arena. The Collins Arena is the premier venue for all kinds of corporate and community events. Live concerts and celebrity happenings, trade shows and expositions, sporting events and tournaments. The Collins Arena has countless layout options to meet your needs. Bring your next event to life at the Collins Arena at Brookdale Community College. Go to brookdalecc.edu/events and start planning your next event now.
Welcome back to DisruptEDtv. My name is Al C.
I'm Joe Osamendi.
And Joe, we have a great guest, Glenn Robbins from the Tabernacle Township School District in Burlington County, New Jersey.
Welcome again.
Thank you.
Definitely. Now we're talking about design thinking, and just before the break we were talking about how the students have accepted it, including the fact that you're a K through 8, so we're talking about design thinking in 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds. And also how you were able to sell the idea basically to the faculty and how they're accepting it. But I want to talk a little bit about integration with the community, because when you talk about applied projects, you're almost always talking about some application in the community at large outside the school. So why don't we talk about that a little bit and how that's important?
Well, I think one of the great things that I have is I have 9 school board members that have been with me for over a year now, who are simply fantastic and very supportive. When I came in, they wanted to do some disruptive stuff. They wanted to do some things to propel their students to where they needed to be for years to come. And they've allowed me to go out and get the administrative team that I need and to work with our teachers and allow us to keep moving forward. So they're trusting me and trusting my judgments as well as my team to better the lives of our teachers and to better the lives of our staff. And that is huge for me when someone says, hey, we're together. You know, and then at the same token, we've taken it a step further and we've reached out to City Council and we've also worked with the mayor as well. So, you know, most schools, you know, you think about that, you don't always have a very collaborative relationship. We do. You know, we're a small town USA. So we have to be together some way, somehow, in order to go to bigger and higher heights. So I'm blessed in that regard that I have, you know, the city council, the mayor, as well as the school board, who are loving seeing what these kids are doing. We're blasting it out on social media every which way you can think of. And now you have kids coming home and not saying the magic word of nothing. They're coming home and saying, we did this,
This
this,
is what
and
we
that
did,
today.
look what I
They're
did.
engaged.
Yeah, and then, you know, taking it a step further, now we have kids that are starting their own YouTube channels. You know, I had a 5th grader I stopped the other day in the hallway because he had an advertisement on his shirt. And I said, what is this? And he goes, that's my YouTube channel. So I quickly took a picture with him, blasted it out on social media, and he now got more followers.
No, that's
Think
interesting.
about the unfair advantage that kid has now because of the fact that we just pushed him further, get more viewers from around the world. You know, and that's what we want. You know, so, you know, over the summer, we painted all the hallways and so forth. We don't call them hallways anymore, we call them idea streets. I had the mayor stop in. I put it out on Facebook. Any parents want to come in and help paint the school? We had parents come in and help paint the school.
That's great.
So it was more of a community school. It was our school. It's not mine, it's not the kids, it's our school. You know, as we continue to move forward, we're trying to just simply help these kids be happy and productive.
Well, that productive part is the part that kind of resonates with me. I mean, we're talking about a shift in from activity to accomplishment.
Right.
So it's not look what I did, it's look what I made. And that gets us into a discussion of makerspaces and the maker culture, which I know is also very important to you.
So I know makerspace is like the hot term right now. So is design thinking, but people still use just a project versus a human centered. You know, we have 2 amazing areas. We have the collaboratory and the imaginary studio for our middle school and for our elementary. We have 2 champions of our makerspaces that we call 2 female teachers that I absolutely adore. And we have the rest of the staff. What we're trying to do is to infuse that into every single classroom. Because you can't always get into the one room. And we don't want to make the makerspace the old computer lab where kids got all excited to go into a computer lab. Labs are now gone because you have one-to-one or you have a device of some sort.
Right.
So you don't want to continue to have that antique just change over to a different 2.0. So we infuse that, the risk-taking and so forth, into the actual classroom as well. So when you walk into a social studies class, they may be doing science as well, ELA, mathematics, all involved some way, somehow with the process of design thinking. And these kids are doing so many more standards and so many more things that they've ever realized before. And the teachers are starting to gain weight with that.
Well, that's,
You know,
and
so
it's fun for them. I mean, it's a fun
extremely
experience.
fun.
It's a
But
fun
you know,
ride
that
for
was
everybody.
that was like an exponential shift. You know, schools are always linear. They're always second-rate replicas. You know, I've only done what I've done from my mentor and what I've done from my schooling.
Right.
So we're starting to ask these teachers, you know, we have practice and we have theory. And theory has always been around for years. And then there's always people that are seeking, you know, best practice. Well, best practice doesn't work in every single school. It's not a cookie cutter.
Right.
You know, and what is the next practice? What's the next big thing? You know, and why should my students, our students, have to wait till high school or college to get to that next big thing?
They should be able to get
Yeah,
it
they
now.
should have it now, regardless of what age they are. So this whole idea of the maker culture is we've shifted the hallways, we've changed the rooms around, we have flexible seating. There's frogs that I mentioned. They're going to have a home in the middle of the hallway now. Emptied out an old trophy case. They're gonna, the kids are going to paint a habitat, put the frogs in the middle.
Great.
We have Lego boards that are in the cafeteria, 80 by 80 Lego boards to play with during the cafeteria time, as well as in another school in the middle of the hallway. You know, we're going to be putting tables out there soon and so forth, getting rid of some of the lockers possibly. But we want them to feel that they can learn anywhere at any time, and not just learning in the classroom with the 4 walls. So you'll see kids all the time when you walk around our hallways or our idea streets. they're writing on windows. You know, they're writing on the whiteboards that we've taken off the bulletin boards and put whiteboards on. They're writing out there now. So learning is taking place everywhere. So it's a pure culture instead of that old computer lab / makerspace area.
Okay,
Now,
now
take
for
ownership of it too.
Yes,
Oh, definitely.
correct.
You know, that's I think that's a great point. Now, for school administrators who might be watching, who are watching the program, how much do you have to spend to do this?
Nothing. That's the thing. That's the biggest frustration I think I have when it comes to education is what can we buy next? Is I'm a school administrator. The school administrator has 5 3D printers. I need to have 6 to outshine them. The strongest tool that we have and the most expensive tool that we have is our own minds and curiosity. You know, so before you just go out and buy something, you know, such as the cameras that you have here, you got to think about what you're going to do with it. So you got to take a giant step outside of that school building and say, what is the experience I'm trying to create? When people walk through the door, what is the threshold moment? Is it, wow, I want to be here, look at the bright, vibrant colors? Or is it, battleship blue walls, this is boring, I don't want to be here, and I'm going to, you know, the classrooms that are still called classrooms, and they have these rows that look like cemeteries, as they call it. So, you know, what could you do to revamp that? Do you have old furniture that's sitting in a closet that you could pull out and revitalize? Could you have kids create their own furniture? You know, one of the things we did was we took old computer pieces, and every school has that everywhere, that you haven't sold off yet, and put those into the trophy cases like we've done, and make makerspaces inside in the trophy cases. So kids are tinkering, putting together a laptop that we stripped apart, computers, servers. You know, eventually we're going to have video game challenges out there where they can design a video game and challenge somebody else. But you're just utilizing and recycling what you have. But you cannot do any of that or buy anything until you know what you want to do.
Until you know what you want to
So
do.
for us, design thinking was, how can we allow these kids to improve the lives of others? So we had to break it down. You know, is there a curriculum that we should follow? There's so many out there, and so many people just want to unbox something and then put it back into an old model. That's just equivalent to taking an old computer monitor, taking the screen out and putting an iPad in. You're still within the confines of that computer monitor. So, you know, what you have to do is take a giant step back and look at, number one, your budgeting. What have you done before? Can you re-allot money? Number 2, when's the last time you painted anything? You know, that's cheap and easy. When's the last time you actually asked for the kids' advice and kids' thoughts on what they
Well,
could
that's
do?
important.
You know, and have them pick out the furniture.
Yeah.
You know, that's simple and easy. And from there, you're going to design those rooms, if you want to call them whatever, a lab, a science, a studio. From there, then you can start building to what you need to buy.
That's key.
You know, so do you go to 3D printers? Do you go to laser engravers? Do you go to virtual reality? You know, so you have to be thinking exponentially where you want to go in a few years, or now, and how can you best support those kids?
Right.
You know, and nowadays in today's world, everything can go on Kickstarter. You know, you could go on any type of website to ask for donations for your classroom. You could use social media to ask parents to bring in extra Legos that they have laying around, or extra stuff, cardboard, whatever it may be,
You
and
can
have
do
a
that.
deposit
And
area.
that's where the community involvement comes
So,
in.
you know, think simpler. Don't just think buying, I have to buy the biggest, brightest thing. Think about what is the overall problem you're trying to solve,
Well, that's-
and what is the experience you're going to do in your school.
How are you going to do it?
Yeah, definitely. Now, we need to take a break, but one of the things that impresses me about what you're saying is that the school itself becomes a project. And involving the children in the school, in the improvement of the school, becomes an assignment, becomes something they can be proud of. I think that's great. When we come back after this break, we'll have more with Glenn Robbins of Tabernacle Township School District. Be right back after this break on DisruptEDtv.
They come to Brookdale with a passion for healthcare, cybersecurity, fashion merchandising. They graduate and transfer to universities like Georgetown, NJIT, and the Fashion Institute of Technology. They begin their careers as registered nurses, security engineers, and fashion designers. This is what success looks like. And here is where it all starts. This is Brookdale, college redefined, success reimagined. Take your next step at brookdalecc.edu.
Welcome back to DisruptEDtv. My name is Alcini.
I'm Joe Asamendi.
And our guest is Glenn Robbins, Tabernacle Township School District Superintendent. And Glenn, during the break, we talked about the importance of maintaining grade levels, actually improving grades and maybe improving scores on standardized tests. So my question is, I know you've only been in this particular position for a year. In your experience, when you make this shift to design thinking, what kind of effect does it have on grades?
So one of the things we noticed at my former school, which was a 5 through 8 building, was that the grades went up. We had higher test scores than ever. We had more students achieving principals list, which is a 98 or higher. We have more kids achieving honor roll, with A's and B's. Our attendance rates improved, and our discipline rate went significantly down.
And we've heard that before. That's an important point to make, I think, that kids tend to be more self-disciplining in an environment where they're trusted.
Correct.
And that's really what you're creating.
You're investing in them, you're trusting them, and that's the same thing for the teachers. The teachers know they can do the same thing as well as the administration team. So you start to see those changes in those philosophies and their mindsets. They're more of a growth mindset. They're being told, hey, anything's possible. You're not being restricted whatsoever, or you have to wait, like I mentioned before, till you get to an older part of life. So these kids, could change the world at age 5 all the way up to however they might be.
And they become more responsible.
Correct.
And more self-disciplining when they realize
Correct.
that responsibility is on them.
Yeah, one of the things we realized too at our last school is that it evolved so much that we started talking to the copyrights, talking about that, because you had kids that were designing things for the children's hospitals, and they were putting them with Thomas Jefferson. And now we were talking about, well, is just intellectual property. Should it be,
That's interesting.
should it have a patent of some sort? So that's what it's going to evolve into eventually, which is kind of great.
Actually, it's terrific. If you think about it, it really isn't too bad to have, in a K through 8 school, to have 1 or 2 patentable ideas.
That's hopefully
emerge. That is just, that's a wonderful, it's wonderful for everybody, not just the kids that come up with the ideas.
Correct.
And that's another point too. The traditional educational model is centered on individual achievement. I learn, I read, I take a test. What you're talking about here in design thinking is creating a more collaborative environment where kids work together with each other.
Correct.
That also has an effect.
Correct.
So even if one kid stands out, all the other kids stand out with them. That's the everybody. Anyway, I think that's.
I think that's the unique part about it. It doesn't matter what level you are, whether regular ed, special ed, advanced, whatever it may be. Every kid has a unique opportunity to be a creative genius in some way, and it allows them to stand up and shine for the first time, maybe in their whole educational career, compared to being deprived.
Right.
So like I mentioned earlier, that outlier, that original that had some crazy idea is no longer a crazy idea, and now because we've been pushing on the empathetic aspect of having those true conversations without judgment, now you have kids who were never friends before becoming friends.
That's
Right.
And that transforms not only in the school, that transforms at the teacher level as well as in the community
It's the
level.
community. It's the society. in
So
general.
society, pushing that empathy, to these kids to understand that, hey, I can be somebody better than I've ever thought I could be, and our school wants us to do that. So that's not very heard of.
And the beauty of this is any school district can do it once they have the mindset to do it.
Correct.
Well, and that really is it. It's a matter of learning a little bit about
Right.
design thinking and understanding what that means in terms of a shift in the curriculum, and then selling it to their faculty. And at the end of our program, you'll get to tell everybody how to reach you, and maybe you can help them with that. But you also mentioned you have a special ed program in the school. Maybe you can talk about the effect this has had on that program.
So what I've seen is that our kids are rising up more than ever. We have our teachers now who are tweeting out and Facebooking more pictures than ever what they're doing. One of our MD rooms, they basically will work with a multitude of classes throughout the grade levels, and they're working in the collaboratory. They're trying to think of a pre-K. So they're trying to just past Halloween. They had to save a witch that fell in the well. So how do you save that witch? What are her complications that she has? So you have to think about that aspect. But we're giving these kids a true freedom to rise up, like I mentioned. And the beauty of it is, you start to see when you start to change this mentality and this mindset, is that some of the best students that played school for so long start to struggle. Because they were so used to this memorization and just writing to the test, whatever it may be. Now you have to think a little more creatively. And that's usually with some of these kids on the outside who never maybe had a chance to get to an advanced class or whatever it may be, are now coming over and say, hey, this is what I can do. That's one of the pure genius that I've seen in the past, in my experiences, we had one child that was special ed that could draw on Tinkercad with 3D design better than anyone I've ever seen before.
Really?
And so when a kid struggled with putting together something like the prosthetic hands or any other project, they were going to him and asking, hey, could you please
you
help
do this
me
for me? Could you
design
help
it
me
for
with this
me
part of
as a
my-
designer
part
in
of my
some way?
assignment? That is
So,
terrific.
like I said, it breaks down those barriers and allows it. Every kid has an equal opportunity. Every kid's a genius.
And
Going forward.
the great thing about these assignments too is that there isn't necessarily a correct answer, and that every other answer is incorrect. You're relying on the imagination of the learner, the child, and that imagination can take them almost anywhere.
Correct.
So that level of freedom, I think, really. What about parents? How do parents react to this?
Parents are parents. It's just like I am. I have a 5-year-old son, so you're constantly curious, what is my son or daughter getting the best education we can? One of the things we try to do is we try to be very personable, try to be face-to-face. That outshines any other phone call or social media thing there is. Have those conversations and letting the parents know that we love their children. We're there for the right reasons. I know there's a lot of, you can pull up a newspaper every day. There's always something going on that makes education look down upon.
Right, exactly.
So our message is we're going to throw so much positivity out there that drowns the negativity. I want to shine the light on all these different children and broadcast them out to the world so that the world can see what we're doing. That one child that I talked about with the YouTube channel shirt, I put it on social media. A friend of mine who has a podcast that had over 50,000 followers quickly talked about it the next day. That kid's
That kid's a
subscribers
star.
went up even more.
That kid's a star.
So
That's great.
the parents are starting to see that and they're becoming a little more happy. And the thing is, like I said, we use social media to our full end. We use YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and eventually Instagram. But we're putting everything out there to say, look what your kid did today. Or look at the amazing things. And one of the coolest parts for me was just being there for a short time, and I know there was some disruption before I got there, was parents were now saying, I never realized that took place there. Think about it. We're such an informed society nowadays, and
now
most of the time
they're-
schools are still
they're
blocked
learning
off.
more about these
So
miracles
now,
as
if
they
you can
happen.
showcase what these kids are talking about in school,
Uh-huh.
and even the shy ones to still go home, or the introvert to go home, now you as a father, or you as a mother can say, hey, I saw what you guys were doing
Yeah,
in
I saw
class
what you
today.
guys are doing."
Let's talk about that a little more. So it gives the parents more of a competitive edge. It's not like we're just checking the grades anymore if you were
Right.
in class. Now you're seeing, hey, I saw you were working on something in social studies today. What was that? Fill
There's
me
something
in
to
with
talk
more.
about.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more table conversations going on.
Great.
And it's something that I've noticed too is that our administrative team and our teaching staff has reached out to parents even more than before. So it's positive phone calls. So I'm talking about what they're doing, sharing the message. We have over 95% of our staff now on Twitter. And our teachers are blasting out every single room
Everything
that they
that happens
can
in the classroom
their
all day.
room. Now we have some people that still don't. They still do traditional ways of the newsletter, whatever it may be.
Sure.
But we've revamped that so we could put pictures of those kids out there too. We're trying like anything to show the parent and show the world that Tabernacle is an amazing place to work and to learn at. And we want them to realize how great we can be.
And it's the kind of shift that any school district, any school administrator watching the program, it's the kind of shift you can make tomorrow in your school. And based on what you're telling me, Glenn, it's not only a great way to teach kids, it's also a terrific way to engage the school board, the faculty, the community at large, and the parents in the process of learning in the school, and I think that's terrific. Now, we're at that part in our program where you get to explain to everybody in your camera how they can reach you so you can help them make this happen for themselves.
Okay, so I'm on Facebook at Glenn Robbins. I'm also on Twitter at GlennR1809, as well as Instagram at GlennR1809. And my email is GlennR1809@gmail.com, or you can reach out to me at my Tabernacle School District as an email as well.
Glenn R1809, thank
you.
you for joining us on DisruptEDtv.
Thank you, guys.
And thanks all of you for tuning in on DisruptEDtv. My name is
I'm
Alcini,
still Joe Osamendi.
and we both hope that you can take some of the ideas that Glenn shared with us
Right.
today and use them to make your school or your school district a better place. Thank you all
Join us
very
next
much.
time.
Thanks, Glenn.